Classic V. Been cutting some firewood up. Not a whole lot of it, but a little bit. We got snow and cold weather in the forecast starting Friday afternoon, going into Friday night. So I got a few logs up to get me started. Put some grease on the old Massey and some steering. Stuck the battery from the greenhouse center to run her up for now. That's got to go back in so we can keep the data logging. Dug up some stuff, nothing spectacular. Some of it's kind of wet, but got a little bit of cherry. That'll be nice. Miss the smell of cherry. Been burning maple mostly. Alright, that's it for now. October 27th, 2020. Back in the greenhouse. I saw this the other night, but I wanted to, I didn't have the camera with me, but I wanted to share it. See all these little mushrooms coming up here in this planter? Over there. There's more over there and over here. Brad and I were talking last week or the week before on Comrades and Farms, along with Justin Goodearth. Brad from Grow the Farm Up, Justin Goodearth from YouTube channel Justin Goodearth. We were talking about inoculants and biostimulants and all that sort of stuff. And Brad was asking if we were doing actual testing to confirm that the inoculants we were putting out were being effective. Both Justin and I are not. It just isn't in our budget at the moment. Brad said it was fairly inexpensive, so we may look into that in the future. But I will say, every time I use BioCoat Gold on any of my plots, within a month or two I see these kind of mushrooms coming up. And I know BioCoat Gold is very high in fungal inoculants. So I attribute that to this. Now I can't, directly confirm that, but I can say that it's consistent with this. And of course, this planter and most of the other stuff in the greenhouse here was inoculated and hit with biostimulants back in the summer. I usually do my flush out foliar feeds. I usually flush out the tank onto these potted plants so I don't overdose them, but so that they do get the inoculants and biostimulants. And sometimes I'll add a little bit of extra nutrition to gear for wherever the plants are in their life cycle. But I just wanted to show this. I don't know how many people have planters with plants growing in them that have mushrooms growing out of them, but I do. And I really like to see that. That's a really good sign. That means that those fungal networks are in the soil that these plants are in, right in the planter. That's important. Oh, let's see. Here in the greenhouse, October 27th. Stopped to get a refill on fresh coffee today down at JB Peel Coffee Company in Red Hook. I've kind of become friends with Bill and Alexandra, who run the shop, and also Julie. They're all really nice people in there, and they really run a great shop and do our community a great service in providing fresh roasted coffee. I have that coffee tree in the other corner of the greenhouse that's been struggling. I've started taking care of that better. But today, they had, I guess they had planted these out in their yard over the summer. And they came up and they've been growing, and they dug them up and they put them in this planter. And Julie gave them to me today to take home. So if you're in the local area and you want really good coffee, go down and check out some fresh roasted coffee at JB Peel. Those guys are doing a fantastic job there. And I'm really excited to have another coffee tree that hasn't been through so much stress and so neglected. The other coffee tree I have was at that coffee shop for I don't know how long, probably at least 5 years, maybe 10. And the previous owner had sort of neglected it and hadn't really cared for it. So it's got a lot weighted against it. But these are relatively young, and I'm going to feed them and love them, and who knows, maybe I can actually get an actual cup of coffee off of a coffee tree at some point. We'll see. Anyway, I just wanted to share this and wanted to say thank you to Bill and Alexandra and Julie down at JB Peel. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. October 27th. Here in the curve block. Just chased a squirrel out of here. Bunch of little birds. Came back in to harvest out the squash. I didn't think there was more than a couple in here, but this is actually a decent amount considering what a dry season we had and how inadequately watered they were. So looking forward to eating some of these. Some of these are starting to get some mold. I kind of left them a little too long, but I'm going to see if I can clean them up and cut them up and get them cooked up right away. And then the other ones I'll try and save over for a little bit later in the season. But did better than expected, given conditions and such. Alright, just wanted to share that. Well, October 27th, 2020, we're officially SOL on water. Even trying to take from the pond, we're below the pipe inlet. So hey, pretty birds. Look at that. That rooster is just like his daddy. Big and beautiful. He's got the same gentle mannerisms. He's exactly the rooster I've been hoping for. I've been through a lot of hatched out roosters that didn't live up to the mark. So far this guy's looking good. Aren't you, buddy? You're a good rooster. Think you're gonna be a new good flock king, huh? Uh-oh, getting caught up in the mint. It's funny, these two roosters and two hens, when I look in on them on the roost at night, one hen with one rooster on each end of the roost. Pretty cute. It's like boyfriend, girlfriend. They've each got their mate. Anyway, it's been a while since I got any video of the baby chicks. They're not such babies anymore. Healthy, happy birds. Oh, look at that! He was doing the scooting thing. He's grown into a mature rooster. Aren't you, buddy? October 28th, I think. Here in the greenhouse, just hooked up the Raspberry Pi. Well, it's been hooked up, but I just installed Audacity and Pulse Audio so I could go back and listen to my show on Truth Frequency Radio. I'll just show you a shot of that. And actually record it locally. The audio that comes through on Truth Frequency Radio is much higher quality, and so I like to go back and grab that track after my show. I've been doing that on my local computer, but that occupies about 2 hours of time using OBS Studio to capture it. So I wanted to wait to basically push it off to a different processor. And the Raspberry Pi is robust enough to handle that, so I figured I would see if there's a way to capture audio from the browser with that. And there is. So we're actually capturing the whole show with Audacity on the Raspberry Pi while we're controlling temperatures and logging data. And now my base computer is free to do all sorts of other editing stuff, like the podcast that I just started on Anchor and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, I just thought I would show a quick clip of it and just say, hey, cool, I got it working. Anyway, we'll just take a quick look-see at the beehives here. It's maybe low 50s, mid 50s, somewhere in there. Not super cold out, but also not super warm. Been raining and sprinkling on and off all day. Bees are kind of laying low. You can see a few coming in and out here. Mostly coming back in. One hanging out just inside the entrance on this hive. Just chilling. With the rain and the cool weather, I have not been able to continue sugar feeding. Last I looked, the forecast for tomorrow is some pretty heavy rain and then rain switching to snow into Friday. So I don't know if we're going to get any more sugar on this week. And I forget what the extended forecast says for next week, but I don't think it's too horrible. Might be able to get a couple of more feeds in and just make sure they got plenty of fuel for the winter. We'll just go over and take a look at the top bar hive here quick. Also looking pretty quiet, but there is a bee on the entrance there. I guess she went back, and there you go. So they're just laying low, and I gotta wonder with how work oriented they are, if they're happy to lay low for a bit or if they miss getting out and doing what they do. I'm guessing they probably miss doing what they do. They seem to really enjoy their work. Boy, isn't that the mark of the right job for you? A job you love to do. I can relate. A little taste of fall color left. Greenhouse furnace is pre-lit. I put some fresh dry cherry on there, which I'm so glad to smell again. And left it throttled back. We're not trying to make heat, we're just keeping the coals alive basically. We'll ramp it up as temperatures drop tonight. No point in keeping 95 degrees in there. These birds, they know better. Out! 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 They know what that means. Out! Move it along. You know you're not supposed to be in there. Naughty, naughty birds. Cover crops are doing pretty well. Had a lot of deer and rabbit pressure chewing on them lately. Every night when I come out here to check on the greenhouse, I see deer eyes all over. I chase them off, but they keep coming back. I mean, can't beat the best grazing grass here this side of the Mississippi. Might not be the best this side of the Mississippi, but they certainly do prefer it. Robins are really in there working the worms. That's a good indicator about how much worm activity we're bringing into that soil. Really nice to see. I mean, how many robins are there? That's like, there's probably 10 robins out there hunting for worms. Well, just more evidence that we're doing things right with soil. Nature doesn't lie. She doesn't cheat. I'll tell you what, it's quite an interesting comparison here between the rye that was planted into this roll-down, no-till setup, and we still got some buckwheat showing up in here too. Pretty dense and thick and growing pretty well, versus out here where the rabbits and deer keep getting at it. It's amazing how much just a little tiny bit of cover for any crop, just a natural cover, seems to really disguise a crop in with everything else. That diversity is not only important for biology, trace mineral nutrition, soil health, you know, communities in the soil. It's also really handy for keeping pests like deer, rabbits, woodchucks, etc. from eating up whatever crop you've got in. They have a lot harder time finding it when it's blended in with other stuff. I've seen that with weeds too. Seems kind of counterintuitive to let weeds grow in, but sometimes they can help you. There's a nice sunflower head that's due for harvest, huh? Look at the size of those seeds. Monsters. Another good indicator of soil health, anytime you see mushrooms growing out there, that means you got those fungal networks rocking. These, I think, are the white puffball mushrooms. And you can see we have them all over the place here. And I should just point out that this is in the least healthy part of the soil, theoretically. This is the road track here. This road track has been here for God knows how long, at least 20 years. So this is the most packed and least natural part of the soil here on the farm. And yet we still have these fungal networks active. We have mushrooms blooming out of them. Really nice to see that. We'll just take a closer look here. You can see the deer have been in here. You see all the deer prints, hoof prints. And we still have the Austrian winter pea doing its thing. That's really nice to see. I hope the deer don't graze those down so much they don't hold out over the winter. Yeah, but lots of deer activity. Chickens are doing their thing. They're about done with this chicken tractor run. I probably should run on one more strip down here. I don't know if I'll get to that this year. I really want to get these guys back into open forage again. They're anxious. They've been in the chicken tractor working hard all summer. They kind of deserve a break. They've been molting pretty heavily. They're starting to grow some of their new winter feathers back in. Get some of their more bird-like shape back. I know Dovey here, the white one, was missing her tail feathers for a couple of weeks. She was looking kind of funny, but starting to grow them back in, looking beautiful. And I guess we'll just let you have a look at this rooster here. This is the daddy for the new baby rooster. You can see how much alike these guys are. This guy is probably the best rooster that I've ever seen on my farm or any other farm. He's really good. He's very defensive of the hens, very protective, and yet not aggressive toward me, and not overbearing toward the hens. And I'm really glad to see that the new rooster that's coming up is a lot like his daddy in size, in stature, and in demeanor. I've had other roosters that were just downright nasty. I had one that I shipped off to a friend to be butchered because he would attack me every time I let him out. And I'm not having that. You're picking a fight with the wrong guy. And I don't want to end up hurting him or anything like that, or him hurting someone else, like if a little kid's here visiting, or even an adult. You may not know it, but a chicken seems like a pretty benign animal. But if you look at the tines on this guy, you'd be amazed how fast he can get those into you and cut you up. That nasty rooster that I had got me a number of times. They'll do this thing where they'll stand off from you, and then they'll come in and they'll do this like Jedi kind of thing where they actually do like a backflip, and they'll run their spurs up you, and they cut you up pretty good. I had a couple of good cuts on my legs from that guy, and I had to restrain him. I wasn't having that. Anyway, so you can see here where the chicken tractor's been through, massively darker, got that nice blue-green hue to it, and you can see a pretty definitive dividing line here between where the chicken tractor was and where it wasn't. Again, this soil building thing is really simple in concept. You just study and mimic nature, and then take those processes and amplify them and systematize them and put them in place on your farm, and you can build massive soil health in a very short period of time. It's very effective and very rewarding. Our fall colors are stripping out pretty quick here with the rains we've had and cooler nights. I'm not looking forward to winter, but I think I'm going to be so busy this year it's not going to matter. This other section here that was no-tilled, not tilled, and rolled down and just seeded direct, seems to be relatively well established. I know I've seen the deer in here as well, chewing on it, but it seems to be doing okay. And you can see this soil is nice and soft. Like, that's fantastic aggregate Got all those nice little soil balls in it that create that airspace in the soil so the soil can breathe and the microbes in it can breathe. Looking good. He's got to say his piece. And in here, same thing. Good growth. Deep, thick green. And you can see where the deer have been coming in here at night and laying. All those flat spots. So they're very happy to come in here. And I don't mind them getting in here so much once it's more established. I don't like when they go after the small plants here. I'm trying to get those established a little better, but I guess at the end of the day it doesn't matter. It's still growing green, and they're in here, you know, keeping it as natural as it comes. I'm sure they're pooping in here as well, which is good, putting nutrient back in and biology. So things are progressing well. I think that concludes cover crop tour, greenhouse stuff, etc. for the day. I know this video is kind of all over the place. My camera work is not exactly stable today, but just kind of walking around and checking on things and sharing what's going on in the farm. There's more robins up in that bed. Awesome. Well, anyway, I hope you found this interesting or informative. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network. Don't forget to check out my other shows, Comrades in Farms, streamed live here on YouTube and also on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeart, iTunes, iHeart Tuned In, TalkStream Live, and then I'm starting up a podcast. I'll be making Comrades in Farms available in podcast form through Anchor and Spotify so far. We're going to expand to all platforms. And then upcoming, I just had an excellent conversation with a friend of mine last night who's going to school for statistical analysis, and we're going to get into databases and some of the more technical side of things for controls and data and how to manipulate and interpret data in a meaningful way. And that is going to be an awesome series or podcast or something. We just started talking about it last night, so we haven't hashed out the details yet. But that is going to be excellent information. I hope you'll tune in for that as well. For now, thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network.